They overlooked my birthday, yet somehow recalled my credit card details for their lavish getaway. A $4,100 charge hit my account, unapproved. I retaliated by sending them $1 via Zelle with a screenshot of the canceled booking. Transaction denied. Then my parents showed up frantic, demanding, "What are you doing?" Furious, I asked them to leave. The next day, I turned 33 on a Thursday. No party, no cake, not even a half-hearted group call where relatives pass the phone around, pretending to care. I hadn't expected much, truthfully, but I thought at least my mom might send a text. Or my sister. Something. Instead, the day slipped by unnoticed. I stayed late at work, heated up leftovers, and dozed off watching a YouTube tutorial on unclogging dryer vents. That was my birthday. The next morning at 7:14 a.m., still in bed, my phone pinged with a bank alert. The screen read, $4,102.75 charged to your account, All-Sun Travel Agency. I blinked, confused, and reread it. I hadn't booked anything. I hadn't left the state in 2 years. I checked the charge details. All-inclusive resort package. Cancun. 5 nights, oceanfront premium deal with excursions included. The receipt showed it was for 2. My stomach sank. There was only one explanation. A year ago, my parents claimed they were in a bind, medical bills, car trouble, something vague. They asked to use my card. Just once, they said. I shared the number, never questioning it. I didn't even update it afterward. I trusted them. That was my error. I called the travel agency, waited on hold for 20 minutes, and finally spoke to someone who confirmed the booking was under my dad's name. I didn't bother calling them. I went straight to the bank, reported the charge as unauthorized, canceled the card, and ordered a new one. Then, for a bit of petty revenge, I sent them $1 via Zelle. The note read, declined. Attached was a screenshot of the canceled vacation booking. 10 minutes later, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I ignored it. Then came a pounding at my door, not a polite knock, desperate, loud. My parents had driven over. My dad stood outside, demanding to know what I thought I was playing at. I let them in. They weren't ashamed, not even slightly. My mom said something like, "It was a treat for us. We haven't vacationed in years. You can cover it." "You don't have kids?" I was floored. They hadn't asked. They hadn't informed me. When caught, they acted like I was overreacting. I told them to get out. I didn't hold back. I said if this was their idea of family, entitlement without respect, they were done with me. My dad muttered something as they left. My mom just shook her head like I was the one who needed fixing. After they were gone, I sat staring at the blank TV. I should have felt empowered for standing my ground, but all I felt was a strange mix of betrayal and foolishness. Like I'd handed them the weapon they used to stab me in the back. I didn't know it yet, but that moment at the door was just the beginning. The real storm hit the next morning. Because when you take something away from people who feel entitled to it, they don't just walk away. They get mad. Then they get vicious. The next morning, my phone was flooded. 33 texts, 11 missed calls, 5 voicemails, all from family. I didn't need to check to know what it was about. I ignored them at first. Brewed coffee. Opened the blinds. Sat at the table pretending it was a normal Saturday. I even tried listening to a podcast about time management, but it was just noise against the chaos in my head. Then it escalated. Someone knocked. I checked the camera, Rachel. I opened the door, curious, and she stormed in without waiting. She clutched a folded document, looking ready to either scream or sob, no greeting. "You think that was okay?" she demanded. I just stared. She tossed the paper onto my coffee table. Mortgage papers, copies of the cosign agreement I'd signed for our parents 2 years ago. I didn't need to read it. I knew I was tied to a house I hadn't visited in 8 months. I'd been covering half the mortgage every month because they couldn't manage. I never complained. Now, apparently, I was the villain. "You humiliated Mom. Dad's been pacing nonstop since yesterday. They needed that trip." Needed my money. Without asking, I stayed silent. Rachel didn't care. "You always do this. Act like you're helping, but the moment someone crosses you, you flip and make them feel worthless. You love holding the power. That's why you keep throwing money around so you can snatch it back when you feel like it." That stung. Not because it was true, but because it sounded rehearsed. Like something Mom had fed her. Rachel wasn't like this. She had her faults, but she didn't go for blood like that. I asked her one question. "Do you think what they did was okay?" She didn't answer, just stared. Then she said, "They're your parents, they don't need to ask." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a belief system, a structure, one where I wasn't a son or a brother. I was a resource. I told her I was done, with the card, with the mortgage, with all of it. Her face paled like she hadn't considered I'd actually follow through. You're really going to ruin Mom and Dad over this?" "They ruined themselves," I said. She left without another word. I thought it might end there, that maybe, knowing I was serious, they'd back off. Maybe even apologize. I was wrong. Things escalated quickly. At 4 p.m., my dad showed up. No knock, just hammering on the door. When I didn't open it, he started yelling, loud enough for neighbors to hear, accusing me of disloyalty, of abandoning family, of playing the victim. I stayed quiet. I watched through the peephole until he left. Then at 8 p.m., Rachel texted again. "You'll regret this." That night I couldn't sleep, not out of fear, but because I felt it. Something had shifted. This wasn't just about the trip, or the money, or the mortgage. It was about control, about power, about family turning on you when you stopped playing their game. And I didn't know it yet, but by the next afternoon, they'd already started plotting to put me back in line. Sunday was too quiet. I went downstairs to pick up a package and something felt wrong. The doorman wouldn't meet my eyes. He usually jokes about my fantasy football team. Not today. In the elevator, a neighbor I barely knew gave me a stiff smile and said, "Hope your parents are all right." I didn't reply. I had no clue what she meant. Back in my apartment, I checked my email. 3 messages, no subject lines, from random Gmail addresses, each with an attachment. I opened them without thinking. The first was a screenshot of a Facebook post from Rachel. A photo of my parents' driveway, suitcases on the curb, captioned, "When your own brother decides he's done with family and leaves you stranded over money." The second was from my mom's account. A long, emotional post about how they sacrificed everything for me and how devastating it was to be abandoned by their pride and joy. Attached was a photo of her and Dad at a park, looking weary and defeated. The third was a thread from a family group chat I didn't even know existed. My name appeared repeatedly, paired with words like disgrace, selfish, and ungrateful. They weren't trying to fix things. They were crafting a narrative. One where they were the wronged parents and I was the heartless son, and people believed it. My phone buzzed again, a text from my cousin Lisa. "Hey, saw Mom's post. You okay? Is this true?" I didn't respond. Then came calls. One from an uncle I hadn't seen since 2018. Another from a family friend who babysat me in the 90s. When I didn't answer, texts followed. "Family is everything, Fred. Your parents love you. Don't do this. You're better than this." Better than what? Better than refusing to bankroll a $4,000 vacation without consent. That night, someone slid an envelope under my door. No sender, just a note with 5 words in black ink. "This isn't what family does." That's when it clicked. They weren't just guilting me, they were trying to break me. They couldn't handle that I'd said no, that I'd stood my ground. So they decided to ruin my reputation, one post, one whisper, one twisted tale at a time. Dragging in neighbors, distant relatives, old friends, anyone who'd listen. But they forgot something. I wasn't a naive kid anymore. I was the one keeping their mortgage afloat, whose credit had saved them more than once, whose patience was gone. So the next morning I made moves. The mortgage, I started the process to remove my name. The joint account, closed it. The lawyer, appointment booked. They thought they were putting me in my place. They didn't realize they were severing their only lifeline. By Tuesday, I was done talking. Every accusation, every guilt trip, every smear campaign over the past few days made it crystal clear. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted submission. So I gave them something they couldn't twist with words. I took back control. I filed to remove myself from the mortgage. I'd co-signed 2 years ago because the bank wouldn't approve them without me. My credit had carried them. Now I was pulling that support not from my shoulders, from under their feet. The lender said they'd need to refinance immediately or face penalties. With their credit, I knew what that meant. Higher payments, tougher terms, and a looming deadline. I timed the removal to hit just before the next payment cycle. Timing was critical. Then I shut down the joint account. The one I'd been pouring $800 into monthly like clockwork. No warning, no explanation, just a clean break. By Wednesday, the silence started cracking. My mom texted a photo of their mortgage bill, the total circled in red with the message, "You know we can't cover this." I didn't reply. Then a long voicemail from my dad, half mumbling, half pacing, ending with, "You think anyone will be there when you need help? You'll end up alone, Fred. People like you always do." Rachel went silent. That was worse than anything. I figured she was plotting, waiting for the dust to settle before her next move. She always played the long game, but even in her silence, she was watching. Thursday at noon, she called. No yelling, no tears, just one flat sentence. "Okay, you got what you wanted." Then she laid out the full picture. The bank had called them that morning. Their new mortgage rate kicked in without my name. Payments jumped nearly $400 a month, enough to make my dad consider selling the car. My mom apparently hadn't stopped crying since Tuesday. Rachel said relatives were calling her, asking why I'd sabotaged the house. She paused, waiting for a reply. I told her the truth. I stopped cleaning up their mess. That's all. Then came the line I'll never forget. You always play the victim, like they used you, but you gave them that card, you signed that mortgage. You set yourself up as the savior, Fred. Don't act shocked that they kept taking. It hit hard, because part of it was true. I'd made it too easy. I wanted to believe I could help without being exploited. That was the lie I'd fed myself for years. That evening, I got the confirmation email. My name was officially off the mortgage. The house was no longer my burden. No legal ties, no responsibility, just a property I'd once helped save. Now someone else's problem. I went to bed thinking it was over, that maybe, despite the fallout, I'd found some peace. I was wrong. The next morning, a call came from an unknown number. A woman from HR at my job, asking if I'd authorized someone to verify my employment. I hadn't. I checked my voicemail. 2 messages. One from my landlord asking if I was moving out. Another from my college's alumni office mentioning a strange inquiry about my financial aid history. Someone was digging. Not trying to hurt me physically. No, this was subtler, nastier. Someone was trying to shake my foundation, and I knew who. Friday night, the harassment stopped being passive. The voicemails, emails, random inquiries. They'd gone from irritating to unsettling. My landlord called again, asking if I was okay, mentioning family issues. Someone had contacted the building, pretending to be me, asking about ending my lease. That's when I knew they were trying to destabilize me, not just emotionally, practically, financially. They wanted me rattled, questioning everything. Then at 9 p.m. my buzzer rang. I live in a secure building, no one just shows up. I answered via intercom. Delivery. I asked who ordered it. The guy shrugged, said, name's Fred, paid in cash. I went downstairs. He handed me a pizza box with a receipt taped on top, under special instructions. Sorry for everything, let's fix this. Love you. I didn't take the pizza, didn't ask who sent it. I left the box in the lobby and walked away. Back in my apartment, I started piecing it together. Who was sending what message? Then I remembered something. The joint email account I'd set up years ago to help Mom with bills. I hadn't checked it since last winter. I logged in. Big mistake, or maybe exactly what I needed. I reset the password, got in. Most emails were spam, but one stood out. An auto-confirmation from the mortgage company sent 2 days ago. Subject, refinancing agreement, new cosigner confirmation. I opened the attached PDF and stared. Rachel Caldwell. She'd signed as the new cosigner within 36 hours of my removal, and she'd done it with a falsified income declaration, claiming she earned nearly double her actual income. They were rushing and lying, hoping no one would notice. So while they were trashing my name, Rachel was positioning herself, not just to replace me, but to outdo me, to be the one who saved the family after I abandoned them. But it backfired. Saturday morning, I got a credit alert. Rachel had applied for a new credit line and been denied. I checked her score through a shared finance app she forgot to lock me out of. Her score had tanked 60 points in 2 days. She'd overextended herself. She didn't realize how fragile her credit was. With the refinancing and the fake income claim hanging over her, she wouldn't survive another misstep. I said nothing. Sunday afternoon, my phone buzzed. One message from Rachel. You really screwed us. No anger in it, just panic wrapped in blame. She was sinking. They all were. I'd done nothing but step away from their chaos. But they weren't built to carry the weight I'd been holding. Then Monday came. I was on a Zoom call when the intercom buzzed. I ignored it. 2 minutes later, the front desk called. 3 people are here, say it's urgent, say they're family. I sighed, told them to send them up. When I opened the door, I barely recognized them. My dad looked aged, shoulders hunched, eyes hollow. My mom stood silent, eyes swollen, arms crossed tightly. Rachel was the only one who met my gaze. They didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't bring papers or guilt. My dad just said, "We need to talk." And that's when I knew part 6 wasn't going to be a fight. It was a truce. But I also knew truces like this come with strings. And I'd have to decide if I was willing to tie myself back to people who only remembered me when they needed rescuing. They didn't sit when I let them in. None of them touched the couch or asked for a drink. They stood stiff like mourners at a funeral, except the only thing dead was their leverage. My dad spoke first. "We screwed up." No big speech, no excuses, just that. My mom stayed quiet, eyes red, arms locked so tight I thought she'd bruise herself. Rachel leaned against the wall, silent. I didn't respond. He kept going, said they didn't think I'd actually go through with it. That they expected I'd be upset, maybe ghost them for a bit, then come back like always. Said they didn't expect the bank to move so fast once I was off the mortgage. That Rachel thought her cosign would buy time, not bury them. Then my mom spoke. Said it felt like I'd vanished. That pulling the mortgage and cutting the money made it seem like I'd erased myself from the family. I almost laughed. It was the first time they'd acknowledged I'd been carrying them alone. Rachel finally spoke, and for once she wasn't sharp. "You had every right to be mad," she said. "We just didn't think you'd actually walk away." I told them the truth, that I hadn't planned this. That I didn't decide one day to cut them off. I just got tired of being used and resented at the same time. I said I didn't feel like a son or brother anymore, just a safety net. They went quiet. Then my mom asked the question I knew was coming. "Will you go back on the mortgage?" I let the silence hang. It was clear they couldn't afford it. Rachel had overreached, the payments had spiked, and they had no options left. No safety net, no way out. They were here not because they'd seen their mistakes, but because they'd run out of moves. I said no. Their faces fell. My dad nodded like he'd expected it. My mom bit her lip. But then I said something I hadn't planned. "I'll cover the difference for the next 6 months, nothing more, just enough to keep the house. After that, it's on you." They were stunned, not grateful, just shocked. Like they hadn't expected even that from me anymore. Rachel didn't say thank you, just nodded, quietly. No power plays for once. They left soon after. No hugs, no promises. Just a tired truce, the kind that doesn't fix anything but stops the bleeding. I closed the door and stared at the wall for a long time. 6 months, that's what I gave them. One last cushion, not because I think they'll change. Not because they deserve it, but because I know the line between kindness and being used is sometimes just one boundary away. And I'd finally set mine. They know now I can walk away, and if I have to, I will again. But for now, it's quiet, balanced, and maybe that's enough. It's been quiet, too quiet, really. 3 weeks since they stood in my apartment and accepted the terms. I've made one payment, the exact difference in their new mortgage, nothing extra. No calls, no texts, no fake crises, just silence. Rachel hasn't reached out. I noticed she unfollowed me everywhere, which felt more like a relief than a slight. My mom sent one text a few days ago. "Received the payment, thank you." I didn't reply. I thought maybe they were regrouping or sulking or planning round 2, but nothing's happened yet. Maybe the weight of consequences finally hit. What surprised me was how I felt. Relieved. A bit free, absolutely. But also oddly detached, like I'm observing my own life from a distance. I know they haven't changed. I don't expect them to. But for the first time in years, I'm not waiting for their next move. I'm not bracing for a request or a guilt trip. It's calm, not happy, not healed, just calm, and for now I'll take it. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.